Hey guys, Josh here from Nicola's Machinery in Brisbane, standing here with our 2025 35 horsepower model. A couple features have been updated on it to improve your quality of life while still maintaining that rugged reliability of the simplistic nature of the tractor. Now if we start up the front here, we've got extra sheathing on your hydraulic hoses, just less likely to snag something. A couple extra guards here and on the rams, so less likely to damage or pit the rams, which is far from ideal. Now coming up here, front end loader is the same, slight structural upgrades just for that increased protection and strength. Moving on from the front end and its upgrades, here are some things that may look familiar, but also some things have changed as mentioned. We do have the industrial tires as per the previous model, just for that extra grip without being too aggressive and tearing up maybe the house paddock or a particular lawn that you like to keep tidy. You have a gross weight of 2 ton with a front end loader, meaning you can tow it comfortably behind a vehicle if needed, should your trailer and vehicle allow it. You have a safe working load of 300 kilos with a max lift capacity of 450 kilos on the front end loader. And next up, we'll go into the tractor here and have a look at the operation side of things. We'll make our start on the operation side of things, working our way from left to right. So if you come on in, we'll have a look. Currently, the tractor is in forward on this shuttle shift. Now to shift from forward to reverse or to neutral, you just clutch in down there, neutral, reverse, and vice versa for going from reverse to forward. Down here is your PTO speed controller. All of our implements operate at 540 RPM. You do have the option for 720. We do not recommend 720 whatsoever, and you will cause damage to any of our implements. Now coming down here, you got a fire extinguisher. God forbid you ever need it. You do have that option there. Down here is your 4-wheel drive selector. In the down position is 2-wheel drive, and if you pull it up, it engages 4-wheel drive. Now, as mentioned here, 4-wheel drive is to only be operated in the low-range gearbox. Now, speaking of low-range gearbox, just over here, you have a shifter that has both a turtle and a hare on it. One is obviously slow, one is fast, so low range is the tortoise, and the hare represents your top box gears 5 to 8, whereas the tortoise is gears 1 to 4. So over here, you've got your clutch pedal, much like a car. Like I mentioned, needs to be engaged to shift from forward to reverse. Now, one thing I drill into a lot of our customers in all of our videos with all of our machinery is please keep your foot off the clutch when not shifting gears. You do not ride the clutch because it will cause premature wear and it is not ideal. So after you've shifted, clutch off, foot off the clutch, rinse and repeat for every gear change. Please do not rest your foot on the clutch. This here is your kill switch, so that will manually cut off the fuel to the tractor and turn off the tractor, because even if you turn off the keys, the engine will continue to diesel until you mechanically kill the fuel. The other thing is, to start the tractor, there is a safety switch on the clutch, which you may hear when I do that. If you can't start the tractor, please put your foot on the clutch and start the tractor that way. Going back to the topic of the clutch, as mentioned earlier, please do not ride the clutch when you are not changing gears or needing it to take off. Please rest your foot elsewhere, as you will cause premature wear on the clutch. We do account for some free play in the clutch, so as you can see with my hand, I can push it that far. So you're not exactly disengaging the clutch, but you will cause premature wear even resting like that. Again, that is where you start to disengage. As you can see, it hits that wall, but we do account for a little bit. But again, please just don't ride the clutch. So here we are on the right side of the tractor. One thing I forgot to point out before coming over here was that all of your light switches are over here on the left. Your indicators, your high beams, your headlights, whatever you may need, your beacon. Over here is your keys and your key assembly. As mentioned, with the tractor running, if you turn the keys off into that off position, you will still need to manually kill the fuel at that fuel cutoff switch there. Now, coming over to the dash, it's fully digital. It'll mention any fault codes, watch your temperature, your fuel, RPMs. All our implements do like to be run at that 1500-ish RPM with the 540 PTO speed. Yeah, nice little upgrade for this year. So it goes without saying, as mentioned with the digital dash, one thing to consider is that when you turn the tractor on in the ignition stage, but without actually turning the engine on, you will get a warning. I do tell you this because I do get asked occasionally. It will say abnormal oil pressure, and the reason for that is that the tractor is currently off. So as you can see, the oil pressure is good. Thank you. Coming over here now, in this area, you've got your brakes, which can be used as split brakes to do those tighter turns when needed. This is your handbrake down here, which I suppose in this case will be a foot brake. So all you have to do to engage that, put your foot on the brakes, pull that handle back, it'll lock into this position. To disengage the brake, just tap the brakes a little bit further than the position they're in, and it'll disengage into that position there. Over here is your foot throttle. This is not your only accelerator option on this tractor, and I'll cover that in just a second. But much like a car, this will all look and feel very familiar to you. Speaking of very familiar and operating like a car, you have your H pattern shifter here, which for your low box is your 1, 2, 3, 4, and then if you go into your high box is 5, 6, 7, 8. As mentioned, four-wheel drive is only to be operated in that low box. Down here on this T handle is your diff lock. So with regards to that, you push down on this to engage your diff. If your four-wheel drive isn't cutting the mustard and you're still bogged, you keep your hand on there, and when you get out of that rut or that bog, you just let go, it'll pop itself out of diff lock. Over here is your PTO clutch, which will either put it into neutral or engage the clutch. Nice and handy that way. One thing to consider though is when you're driving along, be sure to put that back into the on position. You don't want to risk burning out that PTO clutch. Over here, these are your two 3-point linkage remote controls. Now, unless you buy an implement that runs on one of its remotes, like let's say a flail mower with side shift or the Verge mower that has tilt and side shift, you won't ever use these. The main controls will be operated on this one. So you got up, down, and if you push it all the way forward into that locked position, that engages not only down pressure before, which drives implements into the ground, but in this position, it is also float. So what that means is if you've got the slasher on or a trailer on behind you, it will follow the contours of the ground as opposed to just missing the low spots. Missing the low spots or taking off the high spots. Now, as mentioned, there was a second accelerator option on this vehicle, and that is this. This is your hand throttle, which has two purposes. One, you can use it like a cruise control, or when you're stationary and need to provide drive to the implements on the back, that will raise the RPMs accordingly, which you can see on the dash. As I mentioned, our implements like to run around that 15 to 1700 RPM. Your tractor and your implements will tell you if it's happy or not, and you can work with that accordingly. So this joystick here, as you can see, is now been integrated into the one handle as opposed to having the two separate handles that we previously had for the front end loader. This is now becoming the standard on all of our models. The brand who makes this is called Indamar. Now, they are a reputable brand that is not only trusted with us, but also with global brands that you will recognize, such as John Deere and Massey Ferguson. This is the global standard. What that means now is your front end loader controls are up, down, and tilt on this joystick as per normal, but as opposed to having a separate handle for the opening and closing of the front end loader, of the bucket, or operating any front driven implements, it's all now here. There's a button on the front of this joystick. You just press that. You'll hear the actuator on the front open up, and you just tilt it left and right like so, and that will open and close your bucket or operate your implement. Again, this is a great leap forward, not only in ergonomics, but in quality. So here we are at the back of the tractor. We'll work our way from the top down. It'll mainly be features, but I'll also mention a couple service things while we're here anyway. Up there, you've got your rotator beacon controlled from inside the cockpit. LED, so nice and bright, can be visible. If you're on a commercial property, that's mandatory, so it's a nice to have. Now, speaking of LED, we've got LED taillights and a work light here, give you a clear field of view in your back, when you're backing up or operating anyway behind it, messing around with the 3-point linkage. Top down, we've got a hydraulic overflow tank. This will not always be full. There is a breather here, and it will not always be full. It all depends on what valves and what position the front end loader is in, but just something to be mindful of. It is there. Down here, you've got a trailer plug to supply 12 volt power to whatever you may need, whether it's lights on a trailer or if you've come up with something crafty and need something powered, you have that option there. As mentioned from the cockpit, you have two sets of remotes, here and here. And while we're here, this is service related, not so much feature related, but look out for these red nibs. Familiarize yourself with all the locations on the tractor. That is actually a grease point. So I'll point out a couple more, but it will be very beneficial for you to stay on top of greasing those points because it can cause premature wear if you don't. We'll point out, like I said, we'll point out a couple, but definitely get under the tractor, look all around, because you will eventually lose those covers and you may forget where those are. Now, coming back to the 3-point linkage here, as mentioned, you have float and 3-point and downforce on the 3-point linkage. So if you need to drive the post hole digger into the ground, you can use the tractor's hydraulics instead of hanging off the end with a breaker bar or having to use a hydraulically assisted post hole digger, which we do offer for external customers. Fully adjustable 3-point linkage, so you've got turnbuckles as needed on each arm. You've got a drawbar that we ship with, so if you need to tow something, you have that option with the trailer. Back here is just a cover on your PTO output shaft. Now, with regards to that, that is literally just a slip-off cover. Most people never replace it, but it is nice to have that option when you do receive the tractor. One thing also with our 3-point linkage, as previously mentioned, we do now have the quick hitch. So what that means is tractor comes with one set of quick hitch balls, but if you find certain implements you're using more often than others, you're welcome to get another set of balls and leave it on that implement. They are inexpensive, but also save you a bit of time instead of having to manage the balls and move them around accordingly. Now we'll go around to the servicing side of things.